So I rewatched episode 5 of Game of Thrones last night, and I can't believe I'm about to say this. This is a screechingly hot take, scalding, burning hot, but I think that actually the Daenerys storyline is genius, and is really prescient, and I know the reason why people are so upset about it and kind of can't, wrap their minds around it, especially Americans. And so first off, George R.R. Martin talks about his opposition to Vietnam a lot, right? Sort of a peacenik kind of guy, and I think, a real student of history and a student of empires, right? And the American empire has been called the Empire of Chaos. I don't know who coined the term. I think, it might have been Pepe Escobar, the Brazilian journalist. But anyway, basically the way the U.S. empire works is through relays. We have, people in a country overthrow the government. And so when you saw that going on in the East, you saw her, liberate the slaves and have them kind of, do it themselves. It's still a ton of people got killed. A lot of those slaves obviously were killed. Their families were killed. Places were burned. But as I think Americans, you're sort of like, well, we're sort of used to that idea, right? That, we're going to cause a tremendous amount of damage, but it's going to be done far away from where we are. And, we can kind of feel good about, liberating a place. And so that was her for like the first, few seasons. And then the birth of the dragons comes along, early on in the story. And to me, that's sort of like the nuclear bomb, right? A weapon where even if you have really good intentions and if you want, peaceful relations and almost like democratic institutions, if you have this mega weapon that can just lay waste to your enemies, with no second thought, well, how committed to, democracy, not that anyone in the story really was, but how many, those types of ideals, how committed to peace and to justice and so on can you really be? Especially when you start showing a willingness to use it. And so to me, the comparisons between the Daenerys story and, the American Empire story are really striking. And I think part of the reason why, people, Americans especially, and maybe Americans are more upset, I actually don't really know, is because, well, the chickens came home to roost, right? You got to see what it really looks like, to a continent that, you've sort of identified with, for the past 8 years. But the signs were always there, right? A willingness and a want sometimes to just destroy, to kill. You saw the crucifixion of the Masters and Marine, and obviously like the civil wars that went on, the Sons of the Harpy, and that's a lot of death and destruction, right? But you were sort of made to feel good about it, and so you saw that early on, and it developed over time. And the dragons obviously took it to another level. And so I really think it was George R.R. Martin trying to convey, what the nature of our thing is, right? Talking nice about, lofty ideals and so on, but it's fire and blood. And so, yeah, as I rewatch it and, you go back and you look at interviews with George R.R. Martin, I really think that he's really trying to create a corollary there between Daenerys and, modern American, foreign policy. And I think that, the domestic reaction to it is really telling, right? Because I think, or in my opinion, it shows that he's kind of hit the mark, right? Anyway, I thought it, as a standalone episode, I thought it was really tremendous. I think, anybody could, pick apart different parts. I think, the Arya ending was great as well. And, I think the sort of Book of Revelations tinge on it, if you'd like to call it, if you would like, was really just really well done. And I think, again, the horse being there at the end, I think it kind of drives home, the overarching theme, with Daenerys, is that, if you can just destroy and burn and kill and, without really any repercussions, if you come into, problems and whatever else, eventually that's going to be the road that you take. And so I think they really did a great job. I think, like I said at the top, it's a prescient, really kind of in the now type of story. So well done to George R.R. Martin, because I really think this came from him. The D&D guys I still think are fucking total clowns, but that's another story.